Every financial advisor you have ever followed studied the wrong book. Tonight, I am opening the right one. I am Rabbi Shimon. I am 83 years old. I have spent 6 decades inside the ancient texts, the Torah, the Talmud, the Zohar, the hidden commentaries that most people never see. And in all those decades, in all those thousands of hours sitting with the words of King David, I have found one verse, one single verse buried inside the book of Psalms that has produced more wealth, more restoration, more financial transformation than every business book ever written, combined. And nobody is talking about it. Not your pastor, not your financial advisor, not the rabbi at your synagogue, because this verse was never meant to be a financial principle. It was written as a declaration of war. And when you finally understand what David was actually saying in the original Hebrew, not the translation you learned in Sunday school, not the comfortable English version they print on greeting cards, everything changes. Right now, before I go one step further, I need you to do something. Type the word Baruch in the comments below. Baruch. It means blessed. It means chosen. It means heaven has already marked you for increase. When you type that word, you are not just commenting on a video. You are making a declaration over your own finances that the enemy has been trying to silence for years. Type Baruch right now. And if this message is already stirring something in your spirit, hit that like button. Because when you press like, you are agreeing with this blessing over your life. And subscribe to this channel, because what I am releasing here is not entertainment. It is ancient medicine for a modern wound. Now, let me show you what has been hiding in your Bible this entire time. There is a psalm that almost every person alive has heard. You have heard it at funerals. You have heard it at weddings. You have seen it embroidered on pillows and framed on hospital walls. Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And most people hear those words and they feel comforted. They feel a warmth, a peace, a sense that everything will somehow be all right. And that is beautiful. But that is also where they stop. That is the surface. That is the greeting card version. And while you were being comforted by the surface, the rabbis of the ancient world were trembling at what lay underneath. Because this psalm is not a lullaby. It is a financial weapon. It is a legal document written in the courts of heaven. And buried inside it in one verse, in 4 Hebrew words, is a principle so radical, so precise, so shocking in its implications that when the great Rabbi Maimonides studied it, he wrote that this single line of scripture contained the complete spiritual architecture of abundance. The great Maimonides once said, "A man who truly understands the nature of divine provision will never speak the language of lack again. For lack is a lie that the untrained eye mistakes for reality." And when I first read those words, everything changed for me. Let me take you back 3,000 years, because you need to feel where this psalm came from before you can understand what it is actually saying. Picture a young man, not a king yet, not famous, not powerful. He is sitting on a hillside in the wilderness of Judea, watching sheep. The air smells like dust and wild herbs. The sky is enormous above him. He has no palace, no army, no wealth, nothing but a sling, a harp, and a burning awareness of the presence of God. His name is David, and he is watching sheep the way only a true shepherd watches, not from a distance, not passively, but with his entire body, alert, his entire being present. Because his job is not just to lead the flock. His job is to ensure that every sheep lacks nothing. Every sheep is fed. Every sheep is watered. Every sheep is protected. Every sheep sleeps safely. This is the image David is carrying inside him when he writes Psalm 23. He is not writing theology. He is writing from lived experience. He knows what a good shepherd does for his flock. And he is making a declaration, a radical, world-shaking declaration that the God of the universe is that shepherd for him. Now, here is where most people stop reading carefully. They read, I shall not want, and they think, I hope I won't want, or someday I won't want, or in heaven I won't want. But David is not speaking in future hope. He is speaking in present declaration. In the original Hebrew, the phrase is lo Echsar, and lo Echsar does not mean I hope to lack nothing. Lo Echsar means lack is structurally impossible for me, right now, in this moment, in this circumstance, because of who my shepherd is. Do you understand what David is saying? He is saying that when the Almighty is your shepherd, truly your shepherd, not just a phrase you repeat, but a living reality you operate from, then shortage becomes a spiritual contradiction. It cannot exist in the same universe as divine care. He's not describing a future promise. He's describing a present law, a spiritual law, as reliable, as consistent as gravity. And this is the verse. This is the one that has been making people rich for 3,000 years while everyone else was reading it at funerals. Lo Echsar, I lack nothing. Right now, in the middle of the debt, in the middle of the crisis, in the middle of the waiting season that feels like it will never end. Lo Echsar. The great Baal Shem, the founder of Chassidic wisdom, once taught his students this: poverty lives in the mouth before it lives in the wallet. When a man speaks lack, he builds lack. When a man speaks the decree of the shepherd that he lacks nothing, he tears down walls in the invisible world that no banker can see and no creditor can reach. And when I heard that teaching for the first time, I sat in silence for an hour, because I suddenly understood why so many people who pray, who believe, who give still struggle. They are speaking the right religion and the wrong declaration. They say, I trust God, and then they speak the language of the enemy. They say the Lord is my shepherd, and then they spend the rest of the day saying, there is never enough, I cannot afford it, things will never change. And every single time they say those words, they are canceling the power of Lo Echsar. They are handing back the weapon David gave them. Now I need you to do something before I show you the third layer of this psalm, the layer the Kabbalistic masters called the hidden architecture. I need you to pause. Type the word shalom in the comments right now. Not as a tradition, not because I am asking you to, but because you are making a declaration that peace, shalom, complete wholeness, nothing missing, nothing broken is your portion right now. When you type that word, you are agreeing with what David wrote. You are siding with the shepherd against the voice of lack. Type shalom right now. And if someone needs to hear this message tonight, share this video, because your act of sharing might be the divine appointment someone else has been praying for. Now let me show you what even most rabbis do not teach about this psalm. The structure of Psalm 23 is not random. Nothing David wrote was random. He was a man who understood spiritual architecture, the way heaven is built, the way provision flows, the way blessing travels from the invisible world into the visible one. And when the Kabbalists studied this psalm, when the great mystics of Spain and Saft sat with these words for decades, they discovered something that will Reorganize everything you think you know about money and faith. The psalm is built on 3 movements, and each movement corresponds to a realm of provision that God has already prepared for you. The first movement is green pastures and still waters. The second movement is the valley of the shadow. The third movement is the table in the presence of your enemies. Most people read these as sequential. First comes the blessing, then comes the valley, then comes restoration, like a story with a beginning, middle, and end. But the rabbis understood something different. These 3 movements are not sequential, they are simultaneous. They are always operating at the same time, and right now in your life, all 3 are active. There is green pasture being prepared for you. There is a valley you are walking through. And there is a table being set right now today, this week, in the presence of the very forces that have been opposing your finances. And this is why the verse I am pointing you to, Lo Echsar, I lack nothing, comes at the very beginning of the psalm, before the valley, before the enemies, before anything difficult happens. David declares lack impossible before the trial even begins. He is not waiting to see how things turn out. He is establishing a spiritual reality before the natural reality has caught up. This is what the ancient rabbis called chazakah, a spiritual presumption of possession. When you establish a reality in the spirit before it appears in the natural, you are operating in the same dimension where God operates, because God calls things that are not as though they are. And Lo Echsar is David's participation in that divine act. He is calling abundance before abundance has manifested. He is declaring the shepherd's provision before the provision is visible. Now let me give you the practice, because knowledge without practice is philosophy. And what you need right now is not philosophy. You need a weapon. You need something you can use tomorrow morning when the anxiety wakes you up at 3 a.m. and the numbers don't add up and the voice of lack starts whispering its lies. Here is what the ancient teachers prescribed. And I have taught this to hundreds of people over 40 years of ministry in my office, in communities that were drowning in financial crisis. And the pattern of what happens is consistent enough that I will tell you, clearly this works. For 3 consecutive days, and 3 is not accidental. 3 is the biblical number of completion, the number of transformation, the number that appears at every moment of breakthrough from Jonah to the resurrection. For 3 consecutive days, you are going to begin your morning with one act before you check your phone, before you look at your bank account, before you read the news. You are going to speak Lo Echsar out loud, not in your head, out loud. Because the rabbis taught that words spoken aloud enter the physical atmosphere. They become vibration. They become reality shaping sound. And you are not going to speak it as a hope. You're going to speak it as David spoke it, as present tense spiritual law. You will say, "The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing." Not "I will lack nothing." Not "I hope to lack nothing." I lack nothing right now in this financial situation, with this bank account, with these bills, with this debt. I lack nothing, because the one who never sleeps, who never leaves, who calls himself the God of more than enough, he is my shepherd. And lack is impossible in his care. On the first day you speak it, and then you write it. Take a piece of paper, clean paper, and write out Psalm 23:1 in your own handwriting. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. As your hand moves across the paper, you are making a physical covenant. In Jewish tradition, what is written in the hand carries weight in both worlds, the visible and the invisible. You are not copying text. You are drafting a spiritual document. When you finish, fold it once and place it in your wallet, in the section where you keep your money or where your cards live. You are placing divine declaration into the seat of your finances. On the second day, you speak it again, lo Echsar, and then you do something that will feel wrong. You give something away. It does not have to be much. It can be $5 to someone who needs it. It can be food from your pantry. It can be time, energy, help. The act of giving while you are in lack is the most powerful declaration you will ever make. Because when you give from nothing, you are telling your subconscious mind and the spiritual realm and God himself, I am not operating from scarcity. I am operating as a steward who trusts the shepherd. I am not gripping. I am flowing. And what you release in faith always returns multiplied. On the third day, you speak it again. You touch the paper in your wallet, and then you watch. You become alert. You become expectant. Not desperate expectant. There is a difference. Desperation says something has to happen today. Expectation says something is already happening, and I am about to see it. You watch for the door that opens slightly, the phone call you did not expect, the idea that arrives with unusual clarity, the person who reaches out, the opportunity that seems to come from nowhere. These are not coincidences. These are the shepherd moving pieces you cannot see. Setting a table in the presence of your enemies, arranging provision through paths your human mind never would have planned. I want to speak something directly to someone watching this right now. And when you hear this, you will know it is for you because your spirit will recognize it before your mind does. There is someone watching this who has been faithful. You have been faithful with your giving, faithful with your prayers, faithful in your service. And you have watched people around you who seem to cut corners, who seem to play games with integrity, who seem to not even try, and they prosper while you wait. And the question that keeps surfacing, the one you are almost ashamed to ask, is this: God, do you see me? Have you forgotten me? And I am telling you right now, with 40 years of watching God work in people's finances, that the answer is no. He has not forgotten you. He has not looked away. And what looks like delay is not abandonment. It is preparation. The table he is setting for you is taking longer because it is larger. The provision being arranged in your direction is coming from directions you have never considered. And what is about to arrive in your life will silence every doubt you have ever had, not just about money, but about whether God is faithful to the ones who wait for him. Lo Echsar, you lack nothing, not because your bank account says so, not because your circumstances agree, but because the shepherd does not abandon his flock, and you are his. The great Rabbi Akiva, who lived through poverty so severe he and his wife slept on straw, who went from destitution to becoming one of the greatest Torah scholars in all of history, Rabbi Akiva once said, "Every affliction that comes upon a person in this world is given for their benefit, even if the person cannot see it while they are inside it." And when I teach this in communities that are struggling, I watch people argue with it at first, because pain feels like punishment, because waiting feels like rejection. But Rabbi Akiva lived it. He did not theorize about it from comfort. He declared it from the straw. And the God who heard that declaration turned his life into a testimony that is still being studied 2,000 years later. That is what Lo Echsar sounds like when spoken from inside the valley. Now, let me close with this because this is the part that matters most, and I do not want you to miss it. The verse in Psalms that has made more millionaires than any business book is not a secret formula. It is not a code. It is not a magical incantation. It is a revelation of identity. It is David saying, I know who I am. I am the sheep of a God who does not lose his flock. I am the child of a father who does not let his children starve. I am the ward of a shepherd who goes looking for the one that is lost, who fights lions to protect what belongs to him, who carries the wounded on his own shoulders back to the place of provision. When you know that, when you know it not as theology, but as lived truth, as the operating system of your daily life, your relationship with money changes. Your relationship with provision changes. You stop treating God like a vending machine you insert prayers into. You stop performing religion hoping to trigger a payout. You start living from a place of settled certainty that you are cared for, that the shepherd is already moving, that the table is being set, that the valley is temporary, and that goodness and mercy, not occasionally, not sometimes, not when you deserve it, but all the days of your life are following you, pursuing you, chasing you down. Goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. That Hebrew word for follow is radaf, and radaf does not mean quietly walking behind. Radaf means to pursue, to chase with intensity. The same word is used when enemies chase someone down. David is saying that the God who created the universe has sent goodness and mercy to chase you. They are hunting you every day, including today. So here is what I am asking you to do right now today before this video ends. Decide that Lo Echsar is your declaration. Decide that the language of lack no longer has permission to come out of your mouth. Not because life is perfect, not because the bills disappeared, but because the shepherd is real, and real shepherds do not let their flock starve. Start the 3-day practice I gave you. Write it in your own hand. Speak it every morning. Give something away on day 2. Watch on day 3. And when your breakthrough comes, and it will come back to this video and leave your testimony in the comments, because your story will become someone else's faith. Your breakthrough will be the evidence that someone else needs to take their first step. If this word has reached you tonight, subscribe to this channel, not because I need the numbers, but because what I am teaching here is the kind of ancient wisdom that the modern world has nearly lost. Every week, I am going deeper into the Psalms, into the Talmud, into the Kabbalistic secrets that were preserved for moments exactly like the one you're living in. You do not want to miss what is coming, like this video, so that YouTube will show it to someone tonight who is sitting in the dark with their bills spread out in front of them and no idea what to do. Your like might be the miracle that finds them. And share it. Share it with someone who needs to hear that they are not forgotten, that lack is a lie, that the shepherd is real, that the table is being set. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob open the gates of heaven over your life. May provision come to you from directions you have never considered. May every debt that has had its hands around your throat release its grip this week. May the doors that have been shut against you swing open with a force that astonishes you and silences everyone who said it was too late. May Lo Echsar become the reality of your waking hours and your sleeping hours. May goodness and mercy chase you down so fast you cannot outrun them. May your cup not fill, but overflow until you become a source of blessing for everyone around you. This is my prayer for you. This is my declaration over you. This is the ancient wisdom of a shepherd king who lived it and wrote it down so that 3,000 years later, you would find it on a night exactly like tonight. Shalom.